Welcome to Oldies but Goodies Sing Along. If you are new here, I'm Rochii Thomas, and each Friday evening at 6 p.m., I take a musical trip back in time with gospel music. Here, we have fun, we sing songs we know, and we learn songs we don't know. Coming up in this week's episode.
It's very important that you don't lose focus. Don't lose focus. Pay attention, focus on God. And even though you may be going to church, it's still easy. Not because you're going to church means that your spiritual life is in order.
A word.
God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me.
Do not let go of God. Sometimes we experience a change of environment, and it is very easy to say, well, nobody knows see me. Or we could think, why did this even happen to me?
Everything I've been through, Lord, use it for your glory.
Truth is, this is my version of family worship, and I want you to stick around because I promise you will not regret it. Now, if you are a returning member of my YouTube family, welcome back. Now it is time to take a musical trip back in time. Yes, we have come into God's presence, and I don't know about you, but I have thanksgiving and praise in my heart because, child, tonight we are gonna talk about the journey. Let's head on over to our feature, the word of today. Today's word of the day is journey. Journey. Journey is a noun, and it means something suggesting travel or passage from one place to another. an act or instance of traveling from one place to another. The word for today was journey, and the definition was retrieved from the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. For my guest this evening, we could really describe his life as a journey. I have only known him for ongoing 10 years now. Jeesh. Now that I say it out loud, I feel old. I feel old. But, anyways, this evening, you will get the privilege of a peek into one of our many conversations about our journey. Please help me welcome this evening my guest, my good friend, Rhondale Williams, to Oldies but Goodies Sing Along. Welcome, Rhondale.
Hey everyone, happy Sabbath.
Hi, how are you doing?
Okay, it's been good. It was a bit challenging week, but I'm glad I made it to the Sabbath. So it's always good to see the Sabbath.
I've been
Good.
appreciating the Sabbath more and more, like as I get older.
That's true. Got to take that rest as get older.
Definitely. We met a couple of years ago. Okay. For those of you watching, so I've known Ron for, oh my gosh, it's almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Feel
Yeah,
longer than
it's
that
been
still.
that now. It feels longer than that. But we met at UTech. I didn't know you before UTech. We've always bonded over music. That has always been our thing. How has music really impacted your life?
Man, that's such a good question. Music has been it's been so much of a so just to put it this way, like music is that thing for me that most persons would consider a must have. Like it's that one thing in your life that that uh, it has changed your life and it has the ability to change your life. It has the ability to change your mood, anything you're doing. So music for me, well, as Rochelle mentioned before, I write a couple songs. Music is my way of expression. When things don't go bad, my family will tell you I don't handle things like grief very well. And when those things happen, I lock away. I don't talk to people, but I will lock away in my room and I'm on my keyboard and I express myself through music. And I'm just happy that God made me musically inclined. I have to say musically inclined because there's nothing wrong with music. For some people, it's okay if you're not necessarily musically inclined, but you still express
They're
yourself in
missing
music.
out, but it's okay. We
Yeah.
won't judge.
We won't judge. We won't judge. Trust me, music has that impact. And you don't have to be a singer, you don't have to be a musician for music to have that impact on you. But for me, trust me, I can't even begin to describe how it has really blessed me, how music has really touched me. And I'm gonna say gospel music because you have to be kind of specific.
Yeah, for
You know,
real, for real.
gospel music has really touched my life. And so yeah, it's been really powerful, Rush. And I just thank God for, giving me, exposing me to music.
You did a transition from the environment you were in. Not that it was bad or good. So now don't come for me and don't come for him talk about how him did a gateway from something. No. Even if that is true, we're not admitting that
Yeah.
or denying it.
Yes, that is true.
But there was a change of environment because you're no longer in Jamaica as we speak. So personally for me, I found it well, my situation was a little different. You had family. However, did you find a challenge in integrating into the church space or into this new environment? And how did music help you?
So that's another good question. Because when I came up here, COVID was still keeping. So the churches were closed. And and you and I both come from a background where we're very active in church. We to me,
Absolutely.
church was another big aspect of our lives. So coming up here, the churches are closed. And I have to say there was a difference because at least in Jamaica, when um they started to get a bit of grasp on COVID and stuff, at least churches were opened in Jamaica with different protocols,
Limited. Yeah.
yeah. And we could still be active, but up here the churches were closed.
Absolutely close. And
Absolutely
I
closed.
came in the tail end of COVID. So there
Yeah.
is that.
So so there's like I found myself many Sabbaths. I tuned into church back home. I'd watch online service at Brayton every Sabbath. But I I must say there was a part in time where I felt depressed. Um, I felt depressed because on the still I my body just I wanted to just get out there. I wanted to get back into my passion of ministry. And as you know, chances are up here, I had no keyboard. I couldn't travel with a keyboard. And you come up here as a student, so it's not like you can just say, oh, just find $1,000 Canadian dollars, just like that keyboard, So you just have to. I got a bit depressed, and what really brought me back though was I say it was music. In that time, the Brayton was having their anniversary, the 40th anniversary, and I ended up, writing the anniversary song. It spoke about, journeying for 40 years. Yeah, I'm not 40 by the way, but it's something that persons can relate to. We give you thanks
For our journey, for our heritage, for our covenant,
and brought us to celebrate
40 years.
ministry,
Oh,
our community. We celebrate
40 years.
ministry,
Oh,
our community.
celebrate 40 years. Brayton Church, 40 years. Celebrate 40 years. Celebrate.
Looking at your life to see where God brought you from to where you are
Yeah.
now, and
Mhm.
Rochii will tell you that this transition, it's a lot of things are different. The
Absolutely.
culture is different. The people are different. But I must say that right now, I think I'm getting a bit more back into it. I'm trying to back into the big music in the church, and so far it has been going pretty good. It wasn't easy at first, but guys, if you have that passion and stuff, you really have to really push and see how the different ways that you can use your talent and give it back to God. And I must say in that period I got depressed, but I wrote a couple more songs, I keep you posted, baby. And then working on them.
It will be exciting to hear those, actually. I didn't know that you had written the anniversary song for your church. I wrote mine too. I wrote mine for
Yeah.
GordonTown. Yeah. I mean, they use
Yeah,
it
so
25th anniversary. It didn't really catch on, but the 30th, yeah.
mhm.
It was one of those songs that it could carry over. And that was when I wrote it. Funny story. Okay, confession is good for the soul. So every year, the church has a community treat and fair. So for the 25th anniversary, they wanted to write a song. And we had it in like a competition form. The competition never really catch on. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna try and write a song. Never write a song in my life, but I've written poems. So I said, oh, it couldn't be hard. We'll just try something. And it was actually during one of the community treats that I sat down in the vestry away from like the crowd because I'm sometimes not a people person. And I got away from the crowd and I sat down and I wrote like the entire lyric, which was pretty cool. It was my first experience having my song being played and people liked it. I was like, oh, right.
Yeah, that's
People
good.
actually like the song. And it had this a similar message in it. A place that the chorus is
Place of learning, a place of growing, a place where friends become family. Worshiping Jesus' name, strength for the weak and the lame, impacting lives for eternity.
so yeah, that is how I ended up writing a song. I guess you're songwriters now.
Yeah. Well, I guess, guys, look out for the collab. Come, anyone?
We should. It's about time.
Yes,
It's
it is.
about
It
time.
is.
I want to go back though to something that you mentioned, because I was having a conversation with my dad, and he said to me one day, I said, "I'm proud of you." I said, "For what?" And he said, "You're in a country where technically you're by yourself. I mean, you made friends, you have a support system now, and of course the church that I'm attending. But as a young person growing up in the church, it would have been easy for me to say, forget church, forget all the principles, forget God. I don't know how I'm going to do that when He was the one that brought me here, but forget all that you have learned, forget being involved in church, all of that, and just live your life. It is easy to do that, but you chose not to. Have you found it challenging? I mean, I completely understand the idea of being depressed, because when I came here, you were so like into what you were doing back home that when you come and you sit down, it's like, okay, so what are we doing today? Nothing. At first it was okay, but like after 2-3 Sabbaths, it was a mess. What would you say to young people or even adults who have changed their environment and are finding it hard to hang on to their faith?
As a mentioned, Rush, I remember growing up with music. My parents, they're, being musical adventure and everything. Growing up around music, and started playing the keyboard early for church. And Brayton, it was, I believe they were well known, especially, back in the days for their
They
music.
were. Don't be so humble about it. They were. But moving
They were,
along.
yeah,
They
they were for
were.
music. They had a lot of musicians, because I remember when I was young, even one of my best friends, Michael, we're young musicians in church, we're growing up playing music. And I just remember one particular year, can't remember which year, is it, like most of the musicians, if not all of them, just migrated. They went to, they went overseas. Everybody was doing their thing, make a transition, and that's fine. That's good. Persons may have different callings for their ministries and their lives, and that was good. But I remember at the end of the day, I was one of the few musicians left. And in that transition, it was me playing almost at every service at church. And at one point in time, I started to complain. I literally started to complain. I remember I was on the bus coming over, and they called me and said, "Hey, how far are you?" I'm leaving from school and I'm coming straight to church for a revival crusade they had. And I remember I was complaining. I was like, "Why is these people are calling? I'm tired." And I was just complaining, right? And I remember calling my mother, or she called me, I don't remember. She goodly was rushing me to. Where are you? But I remember having the conversation with her, and she was like, and I guess she was asking me where I was at. And I said, "I'm on the bus coming over. I'm tired." And I was complaining to her, and she's like, "Son, it may seem very stressful and daunting, but the Lord gave you this talent for a reason." And she said this to me: "If you don't use it back for Him, He can take it away. Just as He gives it to you, He can take it away." And I'm I won't say my age, but I'm older now. And I still remember those words, because at the end of the day, sometimes as musicians, even as singers, some of us may be given talent, and at times we think that, oh, I'm a great singer, I'm a great musician, and sometimes we start to get a bit of self in it. And if I had just taken myself and spoken to God and say, God, I may be feeling tired, but I'm giving this talent back to you, things would be a bit different. And you realize that once you give a talent to God, He'll bless you, He'll multiply it, He'll give you the strength you need to, that to keep the ministry going. And I said that to transition to this part because two things came to mind when I mentioned that. Coming up here also, I really wanted to get back in church and get active. And I remember two things when you asked those questions. I remember specifically the prayer that after cousin Ella Carr prayed when I was leaving, and they had the prayer at church for me, the transition. Ella Carr and Pastor had a prayer for me, and after the prayer, I remember Ella Carr mentioning to me that, hey, don't get distracted. Stay focused on God. Don't get distracted by, I guess, other things he's talking about. But I understood what he meant. And coming up here, I can understand why. Because just a typical example, churches were closed in COVID. At that point in time, I could have been just watching movies. I could have
You can find everything to do on Sabbath.
everything, right? And when church reopened, I remember them saying that, hey, I was like, I came into church. I won't call the name of the church. And I expected when I go there, I see a lot of young people, but I realized that, hey, there's a little bit of young people. And I was talking to one of the elders there, hey, how come I expected more young people? What happened? And the response was like, hey, since the pandemic, some of the young people that used to be here that were active in church, they just didn't come back, and they haven't come back, and they're trying to reach back to them. And I say that because, hey, it's one of those things that foundation and transitioning that for persons who have transitioned or who are thinking of transitioning, I'm trying to find a better word than transitioning, but we're trying to do a bit of
change of environment.
Yes.
Yeah,
change of environment. It's very important that you don't lose focus. Don't lose focus. Pay attention, focus on God. And even though you may be going to church, it's still easy. Not because you're going to church means that your spiritual life is in order.
Hey, a word.
Listen, you need to get your life in order with God. Going to church is not enough, because trust me, for me, started going back to church, you can still find yourself lost.
A form of godliness.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And
going through the motions.
Mm-hmm. And it's true. So I just want to keep focused. And the last thing I wanted to mention is for those who grew up in Pathfinder, and I have to say this. Pathfinder.
Okay, you coming in here and come reading my mind. I don't appreciate that. I don't really.
Listen, Pathfinder did so much. And,
absolutely.
And I have to say that the Pathfinding in Jamaica was I think it's a little bit different from up here. I have to say
it's drastically different.
Yes, the foundation, the discipline that we got in Jamaica in our Pathfinder program, I don't want any parent to take that for granted. Nobody, don't take it for granted. If you can send your children to Pathfinder, do that. That foundation goes with you a long way. And I'm gonna tell you, the simple principles of our morning watch, we have to learn it every Sunday. We have to come in our morning watch every Sunday. Because they are funny, because those scriptures I still remember to this day.
To this day.
And
seriously,
it's good when you can talk to people up here, and these scriptures, you can join these scriptures because they become a part of you. Trust me. So I just had to mention those things in changing your environment. Just keep those foundations in mind. You keep your spiritual life up, you keep your prayer up, and if you can get involved in something foundational, Pathfinder was it for me, and I think it was for Rochelle too, was part of that foundation.
Absolutely.
It could be something.
Absolutely.
It could be a good family foundation, spiritual foundation. Keep that going and keep that very strong, because trust me, it will go far away.
I just want to do a plug-in here for Pathfinder
Mhm.
because Pathfinder is a passion of mine. And for those who are watching, Ron and I did not attend the same church and we were never in the same conference. So this is two different perspectives from two different ends of the island. And it's at the same time, the impact is still the same and it is still profound.
Mhm.
I remember when I just came here, the family I was living with, everything that happened, I was like, oh, Pathfindering taught me how to cook. Pathfindering taught me how to fix my clothes, spread my bed, get ready for inspection, keep a place clean. Pathfindering taught you the biblical beliefs. When you
Preach.
had to learn, it taught you so much. The history of the church, it taught you to think for yourself. It taught you about friendships. It taught you about dating. It taught you about etiquette. It taught me so much. And I remember the first time I was here and the power went out. And you know, with my Jamaican mind, me I say, oh, we can start a fire even for just
I
one
mean,
night. But I mean, and it's like, and one of the persons, one of the family members looked at me and she was like, everything you learn about Pathfinder? I said, every single thing. Every single thing. And for persons who are watching, if you are a parent or you're a young person, Pathfindering starts at baby stage. Pathfindering is a lifestyle, and it will absolutely. I remember teaching a teenager. At the time, I think I started teaching him at friend level. Ron, he did not talk. He not talk to people. You're talking to me, he was hold on his head like this. And by the time that boy got to Voyager, hey, him light fire, him cook, him interact with people, him keep himself clean. And you could literally see the transformation based on what he was learning. So don't underestimate the power of pathfinding.
Yes.
Do not underestimate the power of pathfinding.
You know, just to put a last thing in, Rochii. My aunt said this to me, and this is just an observation she made. And she said that if you should look at it, the most active young people in the church grew up on pathfinding.
That is so true.
Yeah. Thinking about it, yeah, I thought about it and said that there's. Yep.
And an addendum, think of the persons in leadership too.
Yep, that is true.
Yeah. Persons in leadership, you're leading your unit from you're a young person. It's a lot. Well, you got a little bit more out of this fountain that we intended, but hey, it's been a great episode.
Trust me, it's a good episode. I enjoyed it. I had lots of fun.
God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make strength for each new day. He will make a way. God will make a way. By the roadway in the wilderness, you lead me, and rivers in the deserts will I see. Heaven and earth will fade, but His word will still remain. He will do something new today. Oh, God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. Oh, He will be my guide. Hold me closely to His side with love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. God will make a way. By the roadway in the wilderness, you lead me. Oh, and rivers in the desert will I see. Oh, heaven and earth will fade, but His word will still remain. He will do something new today. And my God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see. He will make a way for me. Oh, He will be my guide. Hold me closely to His side with love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. God will make a way with love and strength for each new day. He will make a way. God will make a way.
Hi, family! It's Rochii Thomas here, and I am so glad that you stuck with me through season 1, season 2, and now we're at season 3 of Oldies but Goodies Sing Along. For some of you, it's a nostalgia. For some, it may be learning new songs. For others, you might just like some good old gospel music. Whatever your reason for joining me, I am glad that you are here. So, like the videos and leave a comment of your favorite song for each episode, and definitely subscribe so you do not miss the next episode of Oldies but Goodies Sing Along, your favorite Friday evening musical trip back in time. Welcome back. Today's scripture for reflection is found in 2 Kings 5, verse 4, and it says, And Naaman went in and told his master, saying, Thus and thus said the girl who is from the land of Israel. Many of you have already heard the story of Naaman, who was a leper, and how he didn't want to dip in the Jordan River because it was dirty and it was mucky. Growing up, I really thought he dipped like 3 times and then said, oh, that's enough, and got mad, and his servants had to convince him to continue. But in preparing this scripture for reflection, I realized that Naaman was angry just at the thought of going into the Jordan River. He was ready to go home with his leprous self rather than doing what Elijah had told him to do. Anyways, his servants convinced him by telling him, if Elijah had told you, think about it, Naaman. If Elijah had told you to do something great, wouldn't you gladly run and do it? So just do this simple thing, wash and be clean. And I guess that was enough to, tame him down a bit, and he went to the Jordan River and he dipped. Anyways, how did Naaman even reach to Israel to get this instruction? I'm glad you asked. Naaman is from Syria, and he was the king's right-hand man, the commander in charge of Syria's army, but he was a leper. And as you can imagine, this must be a tough situation, not only for Naaman's family, but also for the king of Syria. Earlier, Naaman had led the army against the people of Israel, and he brought back a maid whom he had taken captive. Now the maid worked for his wife, and my assumption is, because I have a very active imagination, my assumption is that one day the little maid, couldn't help herself knowing her master's situation, and again, according to my imagination, they were probably just, folding clothes when the little maid said to Naaman's wife, "If only my master were with the prophet who is in Samaria, for he would heal him of his leprosy." Somebody heard it and went and told the king. Now, 2 Kings chapters 5 and 6 talk about this story of Syria and Israel during this period of time. And though it may not be the first nor the last that the country of Syria is mentioned, only 3 out of the 60 verses in the chapters combined spoke about the little maid and the impact she had on Naaman being healed. I can hear you, and I hear you saying, "Rochii, if you really have a point, now is the time to make it." Well, I have several points, so here we go. Number 1, the little maid was taken from her home. They don't even know her name, or probably never even bothered to give her a name either. She could have easily lost her identity, but instead she held on to her God, and she remembered the prophet in Israel whose God could heal her master. She could have remembered that she was in the house of the enemy and thus easily stopped herself before the words even came out. But Proverbs 22 verse 6 reminds us, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." The little maid's reaction just showed how much she had learned and how much was instilled in her growing up before she was taken captive. Now, point number 2. Do not let go of God. Sometimes we experience a change of environment, and it is very easy to say, "Well, nobody knows see me." Or we could think, "Why did this even happen to me?" The little maid could have easily lost her faith in God, or she could have even blamed God, saying, "How could he allow her to be taken from her family, and now she has to feel alone even in a crowded room?" Maybe she felt that way. The Bible never told us. And if she felt that way, that would be okay. But always remember that God is with you, no matter where you go. Hebrews 13 verse 5 reminds us, "For he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you." Point number 3. Our journey is not just for our benefit only. Our journey is not just for our benefit only. Yes, I hear you. I know uneasy lies ahead that bears the crown. Yes, I know that it is hard to have to be dealing with our own issues, much less to be worried about persons looking on who are watching our journey of faith. I know, I hear you. But you are a child of the King, and whether you acknowledge it or not, your life is a testimony to someone looking on. That person could be your child, it could be another family member, it could be your church family, it could be a random stranger on the street, or it could even be your enemy. How we relate and react to situations that arise in our lives may positively or negatively impact someone else's life. And in this case, the little maid was able to positively impact Naaman's life. Point number 4. Be a genuine person. Do good, but do not look for anything in return. The good you do will follow you. And in my experience, sometimes it skips a generation, because personally, I have benefited from the good my grandmother did for someone years ago. And also, sometimes God allows us to help persons along their journey, but we may not be called to help them for the entirety of their journey. So, we have to ensure that we open ourselves to discern when God is calling us to set things in motion, just as the little maid did. Things in the past, things yet unseen, wishes and dreams that are yet to come true. All of my heart and all of my praise, my heart and my hands are lifted to you. For your glory, Lord, I offer my days to you, lifting my praise to you as a pleasing sacrifice. Lord, I offer you my life. What can we give that you have not given? And what do we have that is not already yours? All we possess are these lives we're living, and that's what we give to you, Lord. Lord, I offer my life to you, the time we have for tonight for this journey-filled episode. Listen, from the journey of Rhondale to the journey of the little maid, we got so many nuggets tonight. I'm sure you had something walking away with. So help me thank my guest for this evening, Rhondale Williams. Give him some love in the chat. And he will be on next week for my game. It's not the end but the beginning, so you're gonna want to stick around for that. Since you have made it so far in this video, please type my journey of faith in the comments. Type my journey of faith in the comments. I'm really glad you stuck around for this episode of Oldies but Goodies Sing Along. Before you go, make sure you have liked, commented, shared, and subscribed to my channel. As usual, the instrumentals used in this episode will be in the description below. So, until we meet again next Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and 5 p.m. for my Caribbean family for our next episode in Oldies but Goodies Sing Along, I'm Rochii Thomas signing out. Have a blessed Sabbath. Bye.